So here we go. Well, I tell you what, playing at night, Rusedski's serve will be less easy to sight quickly, early, which is what Agassi likes to do, stands in to return his serves. I remember an occasion in New York involving Borg playing Tanner. John Borg, one of the great champions, of course, never won the US Open. And one year in the semi-final, quarter-final, I think it was, he had to play the big left-handed server from America, Roscoe Tanner. And the Americans, wanting an American victory, insisted that he played at night. And Leonard Berglin, Borg's coach, pleaded with him to play it during the day because he couldn't see very well at night.
Well, it is a little more difficult to pick the ball up. But Agassi's had an awful lot of experience playing in the evening because, of course, most tournament directors put him on at that time so that the maximum amount of fans can get a look at him.
Well, it really is the perfect sort of contrast between the big server and the big returner. And the big server getting the first success.
Right, it's going to be very interesting because Rusedski started the match serving very well this morning. I thought his delivery was superb. And Agassi, of course, is renowned as having one of the best returns in the game, if not the best ever. And so he'll be confident that after a couple of service games, he's going to hope to start to get a little read on it. And then it'll become very interesting. Rusedski's volleyed well all week, but I think that Britain's going to have to mix things up, particularly behind the second serve. I don't think he's going to be able to afford to serve and volley all the time because Agassi does love a target. Once he gets into a rhythm, then he can return very well indeed.
Well, Greg Rusedski has drawn a qualifier next week at the Western and Southern Masters in Cincinnati. But Agassi has got a very tough first round there. He plays Carlos Moya. Well, Moya's fallen from the top 10, but he's still a formidable opponent. Well, I think a lot will depend upon the number of first serves he gets in, his percentage of first serves today.
I think it's so important for Rusedski not only to get a high percentage of first serves in, but to vary his delivery. He's got to use the slice serve, obviously, because that's the natural advantage a left-hander has. He's got to also use the kick serve and the flat serve as well. Give Agassi plenty of different looks.
Yeah, there didn't look room for that pass.
And that's what Agassi will look to do. He'll look to try and return the ball down the middle of the court, lower than the net if possible, and then you have plenty of time to get set up and hopefully hurt Rusedski on the second shot.
Well, it was the serve that was a real problem for him on day one here when he played Wawrinka. And he served 15 double faults that day and said the ball was flying. He had to get the rackets tightened so that there was a little more control.
And of course the short angle volley is very effective against Agassi, because all players, I think, try and exploit that lack of movement that the American has, particularly when it's up the court.
Well, you had to work hard for that game, and that's no bad thing. To win games too easily means that towards the end of the set, when it gets close, you can get a little bit tense and tight. It's Rusedski 2-1.
It's been a relatively good start. All you can hope early on, I think, when you play against somebody like Agassi, is that you get a couple of service games under your belt. First serve percentage is nice and healthy, and then you can start to really think about how you're going to attempt to break serve. First and foremost, you have to take care of your own service games, and that's something that Rusedski has done well all week, and it's given him the opportunity when returning to take the ball on, particularly when he gets a look at his second serve and come into the net behind it. More often than not, he'll chip the ball or block it, and then if he feels he's timed it well and he's got a little bit of linear momentum moving up the court, he'll follow the ball into the net and he'll force the opponents to try and pass him in order to stay in the service game. So his game plan is relatively simple, and it's very much a case of whether he's going to be able to execute it well enough to hurt Agassi.
Well, remember that this is his second match today. It took him an hour and a half, really, an hour and 26 minutes to beat Rabati. Agassi then followed, only played 41 minutes to complete his unfinished business against Gaudio. So, although Agassi has played a shorter time, he's had less rest. It's a big test, this, for both men, not just the physical side, but keying yourself up for a new match on the same day that you've finished one. It's always very difficult.
15.
Jason, I don't think we're going to see too many long rallies today, do you?
It's a safe bet, I think. It's going to be interesting for me to see where Agassi serves, because of course against the left-hander a lot of right-handers tend to use slice in the juice court out to the backhand and down the tee in the ad court, but I think Agassi might still serve a lot to the Rusedski forehand. It's not quite as comfortable off that side to chip and charge. Although undoubtedly from the back of the court, Rusedski suffers from having a weaker backhand.
Rusedski won't mind, I think, too much losing those two service games to love against Rusedski. He'll figure that he's got to make sure of his own serve first, and then perhaps get into a tiebreak. He plays more tiebreaks than most players, Rusedski. Another one is Wayne Arthurs for the same reasons. Not a big left-hander, relying on his serve. And then if he can get into a tiebreak, well, it's a form of Russian roulette at the best of times.
Cancel. 15.
Terrific forehand, excellent reactions, and able to generate a tremendous amount of rattlehead speed with a relatively short takeback.
Yes, good volley. Got nice and close.
It was very crisp, wasn't it? Very easy just to push that one a little bit, given that your break point down, you don't want to miss it. And it's sometimes very easy to be a little tentative. And had he been, Agassi would have certainly had a second bite of the cherry and been able to do a lot more with that shot.
Just putting one of the little gut savers at the crossings of the strings, little plastic devices that stop the strings rubbing. Now that's method tennis to perfection, saving the two break points very confidently and taking a 3-2 lead.
Attention, attention.
It was an important game because if you give Agassi a lead, then very often you're going to come off second best. Because he's a tremendous front runner. He's made a very good living out of it because he usually starts his matches very well. And he's done so all week here, losing the second set to Jonas Bjorkman. But apart from that, every time he's won the first set, he's gone on to bigger and better things in the second. He won his first round match 6-4, 6-2, won his third round match 6-4, 6-2, and of course won in straight sets both yesterday evening and this morning against Gaudio with a break of serve apiece.
Well, the jiggling legs of Andre Agassi there, keeping the circulation going and the muscles loose. He's such an extraordinarily wonderful athlete, is Agassi. Just a little bit slower now, but when you think he's 35, his coverage across the baseline still respectable. A bit slow coming forward.
It's certainly an area of the game that players do look to try and exploit, especially wide to his forehand. He tends to get a little caught up with a closed stance, and therefore it becomes a little more difficult for him to execute the forehand.
Cancel 15.
Well, he still hasn't lost a point on his serve, Agassi, and there is such a thing as winning your serve too easily. Which is why Rusedski can be a very awkward opponent, because suddenly you'll either serve a double fault. There's the service profile look, 100%. So another love service game, but you know, Rusedski suddenly will swing and get a couple running in, and you find yourself love 30 down. You perhaps tighten up just a little bit. It happens. I've seen it happen before. Remember when he beat Sampras in the final in Paris?
No, it's not easy to play against a player that doesn't give you any rhythm. It's nice to be able to build the rallies to play within your comfort zone, and Rusedski does his utmost to take you out of it.
Yes, well, the first volley wasn't good enough, was it?
It
was a basic serve. It's not often Agassi will miss the return like that on a big point.
Beautiful. ace down the middle, his fourth of the evening. You can see why his opponents do get frustrated, because at love 30, Agassi looked to be in good shape, but he's really had no chance at all on the next 3 points. Well, you can see exactly what he thought of that, but it will count as his fifth ace, and Agassi absolutely right. But there we are. It's 4-3.
Well, of course, the serve really is the bedrock of Rusedski's game plan, and mid-60s is usually where you'll find the best players in the world if they're having a good day, and so he'll be delighted with that. And of course, he wins the vast majority of the points when the first serve does go in, but he's got to be wary, because Agassi takes advantage of any looks he gets at most players' second serves, and Rusedski there struggling a little bit to win points when he's down to his slightly weaker delivery, so that's something that he's got to keep an eye on. Agassi, on the other hand, is serving phenomenally well. He's got to make sure that he keeps concentration, because sometimes when you are serving as well as he is at the moment, and then suddenly you get embroiled in a bit of a dogfight on serve, you can lose concentration and have your serve broken. So whilst those stats are absolutely phenomenal, he's got to be wary.
He'll bide his time and just wait for that moment to get his break, or hope for a bit of luck somewhere to help him. Packed audience tonight in this lovely arena, 11,500 people. Change of tennis balls. I think the first rally we've had on an Agassi service point.
Agassi rectifying the situation very quickly
with his second ace. So that's the first point he's lost on his serve. Rusedski beginning to get the ball back, at least, which he wasn't in previous service games. And while he won it just to 15, easily the best returning game Rusedski's provided.
terrific return. Again, he got a little lead on it. Short backswing. Not looking to generate too much pace of his own, just redirecting the serve, and Rusedski nowhere near it. And that would be a little disappointing for Agassi, because he worked exceptionally hard to get the return back in play, and on that double-handed backhand he'll have fully expected to make Rusedski work a little harder to win that point. I like that variation. It's a little more spin on the ball. Only 168 kilometers an hour, 104 miles an hour, but it's nice and short up that single sideline, so he's able to generate exceptional angle with it. Trademark Agassi. Again, it's that short backswing. He does love a second bite at the cherry. Rusedski there a little guilty of not following the line of the ball.
So the third game in which he's been taken to deuce, Rusedski.
Wait, please.
Foot fault, was it? Foot fault, the front foot. Well, what a pity. It was an ace otherwise. Yeah, giving the linesman a bit of a dirty look there. But he's got to call it. If the foot touches the line or any part of the court beyond it, he must call. First break point. There's the first break. And of course, in the mind of Agassi, he now is going to plough ahead at 5-4.
Well, it's at this stage in the match when you would expect Agassi to be able to find the clutch. That's exactly what he was able to do, and more often than not it was the return up the middle of the court. It's high percentage, of course, because if he hits it too early and it goes a little too much cross court, then you've still got plenty of area in the court to play with, and if he hits it a little too late, then it still will hopefully go in as well. And then it's the second shot that he's able to hurt Rusedski. So I think the Briton is still frustrated with the foot fault. It's understandable.
I can't overrule that call.
That's bad. Very bad. If he calls it, call it right away, but don't call it after the point's finished.
Well, throughout the change of ends, Rusedski's been having a running commentary with umpire Grillotti about that foot fault, saying that it wasn't called immediately, but after the point had been played, after the serve had gone and been an ace. So he's very disgruntled indeed about that. But as Rilotti said, he can't overrule a foot fault. Not that he should if he's touched the line.
Exactly, and how can he be watching that and where the ball's going? Well, Rusedski at the end of the point losing his hat, but let's hope he's not going to lose his head as well, because he's getting a little frustrated at the moment. And the return of serve way too short. Agassi had plenty of time to move up the court and pick his spot with the pass.
Well, an impeccable service game so far has produced 3 set points. And the cheers tell you that the crowd favourite has taken the opening set 6-4 with his 3rd ace of the night in 31 minutes.
Well, it was a very typical set from Agassi, as you would expect, taking care of business on serve, and then when he got an opportunity on the Rusedski serve, making the most of it. Of course, he had break points in the 5th game, which he wasn't able to convert, but in the 9th, it was just the one that he needed. And Rusedski there, crucially, just winning 36% of points when he's down to his 2nd serve. Agassi with 100%. So that's a fundamental difference between the two players. But look at Agassi's serving statistics in a whole. Really, really good stuff, and it's impossible really for Rusedski to take advantage of that, but he's simply got to concentrate on holding his own serve the remainder of the match if he's going to force a way back into it.
Well, let's enjoy some of the brilliant winners from Andre Agassi in that first set. Now just look at all those shields on the name board. There are 17 of them. Nobody else has won as many. Each one denoting a Masters Series success. Pete Sampras the next on the list with 11 successes, and then Thomas Muster has 8, Michael Chang 7. So the second set with Rusedski to serve. Rusedski thought it was a let. He's making indications to Romano that he heard, he thought. The machine didn't pick it up. We have a device attached to the net which is supposed to announce when it is one. Well played.
Cancel 15.
Well, much sharper on the volley there, that one in particular. Because Agassi certainly fires the ball. You have to be very quick. Well played again, reacting better now.
Front 30-50.
Just as well, that was a fault. Well, full marks to Rusedski, not panicking at all. Remember, the very first point of this game he lost because he stopped playing, believing it to have been a let serve, which wasn't called. And his volleying showing signs of improvement. Well, very good footwork, getting under that lob quickly and making no mistake.
Just that one game that Rusedski's dropped on serve, but one of the equations that he hasn't been able to solve has been the Agassi serve, and the Americans' tactics have been obvious. In the deuce court, he's coming around the outside edge of the ball in order to generate a little bit of slice to obviously open up the court and also pepper Rusedski's backhand, which is relatively weaker than his forehand, and the same in the ad court, serving an awful lot of serves down the tee. And it's something that Rusedski has really struggled to deal with, something that he has to try and change if he's to manufacture a way back into the match.
Well, that's those in the crowd thinking that that was a bad call. One game all. And not until his fourth service game of the match did Agassi lose a point on his serve, and he started this set in the same vein. In fact, throughout the entire set on his serve, Agassi lost 1 point.
Yeah.
0-50. Final 15 under.
228k that, 141. Things are warming up. Seventh ace.
Front 30-50. Carol 40-15.
Some good serving, varying things nicely, but also turning up the heat.
Rusedski.
Well, he didn't get a look at many of those serves. As long as Rusedski can keep that up, he's always in with a chance. 2-1. Well, another packed house here. It's been well attended throughout this tournament, and they've been knowledgeable, I would suggest, in their appreciation of what's been going on the court. Very supportive, obviously, of the French, this part of French Canada, but I would describe them as a knowledgeable crowd.
Well, the tournament's got a great history. They've seen some great players over the years come here and play very well indeed. And what I've been impressed with most in terms of the amount of people through the turnstiles has been for the match at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because of course you always get a lot on the North American hardcourt circuit in the evening, but we've had packed houses, almost full, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to see the likes of Nadal and Agassi, and that's great for the game.
Well, they've come in their thousands this week. Sebastian Leroux, once again, if you weren't with us earlier, he's just been inducted into the Canadian Tennis Hall of Fame, and he, of course, was the gold medalist in Sydney. He and Daniel Nestor beating the Woodies, Woodbridge and Woodford, which was their last match together as a pair, the Woodies, in that Olympic final. On home soil. Pity they couldn't win it, really, but they didn't.
Wasn't a pity from Sebastian's point of view, was it?
Very true.
Well, I'll let you talk me through that backhand return there, John. I'm not sure what he was trying to attempt there.
That's what it was.
It was a good length drop shot. Movement just looking a little stilted there. He's not used to moving around the baseline and getting involved in protracted baseline rallies.
Typical of Agassi, if anybody chips and charges, he half volleys if necessary the ball that's near the base. He won't retreat, he'll take it on the rise. That was almost a half volley.
And of course that gives the person that's coming into the net less time to react.
Two games.
Well, as in the first set, the first two service games 1-love. And still, Rusedski's taken just 1 point off the Agassi serve.
Well, that was a terrific combination. A well-timed serve, great movement into the net, got very close to it, and then executed a perfect volley. Lovely technique, nice firm wrist, contact well out in front of the body. And there's the variation. Those are the two volleys, really, that the vast majority of players who utilize serving and volleying as a tactic tend to do. They'll either go into the open space, as he did on the first point of the game, or they'll go back behind the returner, who's obviously scuttling into the open court to cover it.
Approaching double figures now. I think that's number 9. Well, a very good service game indeed. Agassi powerless to do anything about it. 3-2, second serve. Well, now, what would you do if you were trying to advise Rusedski about facing the Agassi serve and attempting somehow to get a break?
Thank you.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? I think he's quite limited in terms of tactics. It's not like he can stay at the baseline, bide his time, wait for a better opportunity to come into the net. He's got to chip and charge whenever he gets a look at Agassi's second serve. But the American's serving so well, 83% of first serves in, which is an incredible statistic, because it's not like he's just rolling the ball into play. He's certainly going for it. He's flattened it out a little bit. So Rusedski hasn't been given that many chances. In the match as a whole, he's only got to look at 5 Agassi second serves. Hasn't won a point on it, but that's really limiting his options, because he's just blocking the ball back when he gets when he's returning Agassi's first serve, and then of course the American's dominating the point thereafter. So there's very little that he can do at the moment.
Another banana, please.
Well, a request for a banana there from Rusedski. He's just finished munching one, so that's number 2. But it is a fruit that all the athletes seem to enjoy munching during matches. I'm surprised they don't get a bit of indigestion, but they appear not to. It's all the trace elements, particularly potassium, that helps the body to recover. A bit like shelling peas for Agassi, isn't it? Get a good first serve in and hit a winner.
It's a simple game.
There you are. Short ball. Hit a winner.
Well, it's a very underrated part of Agassi's game, is the serve.
As you see there, 84% are going in. That is brutal for the receiver. Well, he's missed one. A winner, had it clipped the line. Come on, that's right. He's got to chip and charge those second balls, as you were saying. And that's the first time he's won a rally.
40.
It's definitely a Dear Diary moment when you get the better of Agassi from the baseline for Greg.
Yes, we've played 16 games. The first 7
3 games.
brings the first change, and then the next 9 the second change. As always, Agassi with a new restring. And he usually points the racket at the ball boy and says, you take the... There it is. Well, he's done it again to the ball kid. You get rid of the bag for me.
It's amazing with so many twitches he ever gets out of the locker room, isn't it?
Quite. Well, now, there was an American player called Art Larson, who was the 1950 US champion, who was known as Tappy because he had a number every day and he tapped everything with that number. And he once did get stuck in the locker room. Couldn't get out of the locker. And I just continue with the true story. I was in Mexico City when the Americans were playing a Davis Cup tie against Mexico City, and against the Mexicans, and he was playing in the match. And at the end of the third set, when they went to take a 10-minute break, he got stuck in the door leading from the court and never got to the locker room with all the taps. It's very funny.
It's interesting, at Wimbledon this year, Jimmy Connors was talking about the fact that throughout his career, the rituals that he had to go through at each and every tournament just became greater and greater as his longevity of career. And he said by the end it did become a little bit of a crutch. It was very, very difficult to compete to the best of his ability because he had so many routines that he had to go through in order to believe that he had a chance of winning. So it does become difficult for the players. And Agassi, of course, has enjoyed a tremendous career at the ripe old age of 35. So it's not surprising, perhaps, that he does have all these mannerisms.
Big point here. First time he's been challenged in this set, Rusedski. Never been past 1 point on his serve. Always has to have the ball boys in place. And he's got to look at a second serve now. Fancy he'll go for a winner here.
Well, full marks to Agassi and Rusedski because the return was of the very highest order. It was a terrific first volley to a good length and good reactions here, but just didn't do enough with the volley. Excellent footwork from Agassi to get into a good position, and then just a subtle roll of the wrist to generate the necessary topspin to get the job done.
First break point.
First service.
There goes the break. Kept the return of serve nice and low. Didn't try and do too much, but made Rusedski play a difficult volley. So it's Agassi with a break force.
Well, that was a really good game. And Agassi is so good, really. In the first set, he was able to bide his time. He was serving well. He wasn't returning particularly well, but then in the 9th game he pounced when he had an opportunity, and he's done exactly the same in this second set. And he did exactly the same against Gaudio yesterday evening and this morning. He wasn't challenging in terms of trying to break serve every single time his opponent served, but when he got an opportunity, he made the most of it. And that's why he's been such a successful player throughout the course of his career, because all the great champions managed to find the clutch and raise the level of their game at the appropriate moment, and Agassi's become a master.
Well, he's on song tonight, all right. Staring hard at the strings of the racket. He's just changed when they changed the tennis balls. Game to go. Of course, the other side of Agassi, one doesn't often talk about, but he has done an awful lot for charity. He has a school in Las Vegas where he lives, which he has funded with a foundation, the Agassi Foundation. And millions he's raised, something like $50 million over the years. Just to complete that thought, the good he has done has been immense, all for underprivileged kids in the Las Vegas area. Raises the money by concerts, gets all his showbiz friends to appear free for him. Well, he's certainly no match for Agassi from the back of the court, obviously. And somehow Rusedski's got to get himself in the forecourt and threaten, because at the back he's a dead duck. Well, the cheers now for the crowd favourite, fourth ace.
Agassi men par 5-2. Leads by 5 games to 3.
Within sight now of a fourth final here. He's never lost in a final in Canada.
Kansas 15 left.
Well, I don't think Agassi will mind, particularly if he loses this game easily. He has hardly ever, well, he's never been threatened on it, so he's hardly ever lost a point on it.
Rusedski.
Well, academic interest, that may have been long. Agassi thought it was. I don't think it matters anymore.
Agassi men par 5-2. Leads by 5 games to 4.
It's 5-4. Agassi will serve for the match.
Well, it's now or never for Rusedski. He's been frustrated, I think, with his inability to play better from the back of the court, and he's not going to get the better of Agassi from that position, but he will certainly wanted to try and stay in the rallies a little longer to perhaps manufacture an opportunity to come into the net. But Agassi has played simply too well in every area of the game, and he did so yesterday evening against Gaudio. He looked in very relaxed mood, even though they had all those rain interruptions. Played very well indeed this morning, even though it was an awful lot more windy than it had been previously this week. He dealt with that situation and those conditions very well indeed, and he's dealt with the fact that he's had to play 2 matches or 1.5 matches in one day very well too. But he doesn't have that much time to recover if he is successful in this next game before the final tomorrow, so that's going to be an interesting factor that might play a part in the end result. But it's been a good performance so far.
Well, an insatiable appetite for winning tennis matches this man has had. And somebody rashly asked him when he was going to retire. And he politely said, "I'll know when I'm going to retire and I'll tell you, but it's not yet." Well, cheering him to the echo they are as he serves for the match.
And 15 left.
Just 2 more points. That's all he needs. From Rusedski at last on the Agassi serve.
And that's what he's been trying to do the whole match, I think. Get the return back in place, stay in the rally long enough to manufacture an opening and move successfully into the forecourt in order to win the point.
What a rally. Well, that 35-shot rally ending in a winner for Agassi and 2 match points. And that's it. Well, smiles all round. Rusedski realizing that he lost to an inspired Agassi tonight. Bows to all 4 sides of the arena, as always, as he moves into his 4th final in Canada. Well, that was a vintage performance from Agassi, who, remember, had to complete unfinished business against Gaudio earlier today, so there's no reason to think that he's in any way inhibited fitness-wise or by the extra strain mentally of having to play twice.
Still might be a factor tomorrow, given the fact that he's got less time to recover from the exertions of today than his much younger opponent, who obviously finished a good couple of hours ago. But Agassi signs off a deserved winner, and Rusedski can hold his head up high. He's had an exceptionally good tournament here this week. He's got some notable scalps in terms of Max Murny, Mario Ancic, and this morning he played exceptionally well against Dominic Obati, but it was really a bridge too far for him to cost today against Agassi, who I don't think will serve any better for the remainder of his career, because the first serve percentage was absolutely superb, 82%, but the success rate of it was phenomenal. Didn't drop a point on second serve the whole match, and just 4 times lost the point when the first serve went in. So really he was never in danger of losing his serve, and of course that sets him up so well for the return games, because then he can open his shoulders, and what he was able to do so well was find the clutch. He was patient enough in the service games where Rusedski performed well, and then as soon as he was given an opportunity, he took full advantage of it. Only 3 games in the match where he had break points, and he broke on 2 of those occasions, and Rusedski, of course, nowhere near getting a break point of his own. So really it was one of Agassi's better matches, and I think he's going to have to perform as well as that tomorrow to stand a chance against the top seed.
I think that's undoubtedly true, and looking there at those winners, 22 winners and just 7 unforced errors, hitting the ball as hard as he was.